Hello everybody, hope you're all doing fantastically well. It's Connor, we're back here with another episode on the channel. It's another episode of the Rumour. How on earth are you all doing? If you haven't checked out the Brownie episode from earlier on, make sure you do so. We're back discussing absolutely everything Leeds United earlier. It's a little bit more of a podcast format always with Brownie on because we've got so much to talk about. It's well worth having a look over at it, guys. We speak about everything from transfers to expectations to seasonal predictions to the start of Leeds United's campaign to Harrogate Town. So definitely worth checking that out. Before we get into the video, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. Head on over to the Patreon for bonus content, which will be coming throughout the weeks. I'm asking you guys on the Patreon questions. What do you want me to talk about? And you guys are getting them in the droves over there, so make sure you do so. That is also audio platform over there, everybody, which means you can listen to it going to work, lunch. Patreon makes it very, very easy to do so. Merchandise always available. Link in the description below. Autumnal, summer, winter wear, and all that good stuff we deliver to Australia, America, and all those fantastic places. So let's get into your news today. So huge Spanish, South American outlet this afternoon reporting that Junior Firpo and Leeds United are in discussions with Real Betis, obviously Firpo's former club. Now, why is this interesting? There's always been rumours about him going to Betis, back to Betis, obviously went from Betis to Barcelona as a left wing back, then came to Leeds United in the Victor Orta era, 12 million quid. You were thinking, wow, this is going to be a really, really good signing. A left wing back, someone who did so well at Betis, hadn't quite worked at Barcelona, and Victor Orta's contacts managed to, get him to Leeds United. It was a good signing at the time. They didn't quite work for him in the Premier League. We all know that. Positionally, he was caught out so many times. But earlier on the channel, we thought, as a technician, as somebody who can evidently play football at a decent level and has proven it before, can he work a league below? And by God, he proved it. And do you know what else he proved? He proved he was dependable. Fitness-wise, he was always there towards the last sort of 6 months, which is a big problem throughout Junior Firpo's career at Leeds United. It was the dependability, which is an attribute, is absolutely essential, as we all know. Because if you're not dependable, reliable, then there's no point in even having a discussion about you because you're not going to be involved in proceedings. So Junior Firpo in conversations right now with Real Betis. There is a gap there in obviously their squad for someone like Firpo to fit in. Will he go back there? A little bit of a sort of story arc there as well. Apparently he's happy to go back, obviously, to the city of Seville. It's a very nice city, and I'm sure he'd much rather be playing at La Liga level. So there you go. That one will be interesting. Because I mentioned earlier on, keep an eye on him. 12 months left on his deal. It's very similar to us and Jadon Bogle right now in terms of Leeds not being able to agree a fee with Sheffield United. Apparently Leeds are 3 million quid short of what Sheffield United want for Bogle. We've got to be careful there with 12 months left, but with a player with his ability, you almost think to yourself, just like literally like throw the money at them, Leeds, and you're going to get that back in terms of goals and assists and progression and overloads and underlaps on that sort of right-hand side. So runners is what we need in this team, and if you can get Bogle, and you've got that with him and Rothwell straight off the bat. So I'm a massive sort of fan of that. Interesting with Firpo though on that left-hand side. If he is to leave, you've then got a massive gap. I'm not having Sam Byram as a left-back cover. I'm just not, even though at points last season he was better as a left-back cover than he was actually playing at right-back. But I actually want two fully-fledged left-backs. Will that happen? Unlikely. It's interesting how the shape-up of Max Verber's going to work here, because we are square peg round hole FC, aren't we? So there is a likelihood that probably Pascal Strout qualifies as a left back, and Verber, if he sticks around, qualifies as a left back in terms of cover. Hopefully not. Hopefully this year we can actually do what we do and in an efficient manner when it comes to, as Marcelo Bielsa coined at one stage, 2 players in every position. That would be really nice. And can Leeds do that potentially with a left back of choice? Obviously, I mean, I've earmarked Ryan Manning as an obvious one for me. Charlie Taylor's gone in as first left back at Southampton. They may change into a back three at points later on during the season in the Premier League if they want to be defensively more assured. I don't see Ryan Manning as a left wing back. I see him more as a left back. 28 years of age. Is there a bit of business that Leeds can do there? That would be an obvious one for me, which, once again, I've mentioned previously that when this shortlist is compiled, Leeds don't just forget about targets, as we learned through Dan James. So Yeah, left back is absolutely key now, and fullbacks in Premier League football are huge. Premier League football and Championship football are absolutely huge. You know, they offer width, but now they're so important as well when it comes to how good wingers are in the football pyramid, because of, you know, how much emphasis there's put on beating a man and swinging the ball into the box for runners. There's not as much of a quintessential number 9 right now, but, you know, the winger is the absolute architect of bringing a team through the phases, through the thirds, and galvanising attacks. But also wingers are so good now when it comes to defensively as well, you know, having two facets to the game, but you know, fullbacks, it's the exact same. You know, you have to be as good going back as you are going forward, and that's why it's essential that someone like Jayden Bogle comes in, and obviously a left back. You know, could you go and get Ryan Manning? I think that'd be two really good additions, you know, just to pluck a name out of a hat. Obviously, we know what's going on when it comes to Glenn Kamara leaving for 8.6 million. Can we reinvest that back into a Lewis O'Brien who's, you know, like for like? If not, you know, if we want to go a little bit further forward, we know Ao Tanaka is available. Dusseldorf didn't get promoted in their playoff game, obviously. He is then available for a much cheaper and reduced price, and apparently Dusseldorf are willing to talk on offers with him. So when you look at the makeup of the squad right now, we know Willian Yonto, we know the rhetoric from Leeds, and we've got to keep an eye on that when it comes to positivity. We don't have to sell after Archie Gray. That is something that was a remit from the club. Parag's statement, you read between the lines after we sold Archie Gray, it was, don't worry, now that's done, we're going to be okay right now. So unless an unbelievable offer comes in, and this does definitely qualify with someone like Junior Firpo, potentially, but more Willian Yonto, you're probably thinking to yourself, Leeds are going to be all right shape up wise. If they can keep hold of the Avengers, as in Nonto, Somerville and Rutter, that'd be unbelievable going into next season. Just dot players in and around those two. We know it's going to be like for like if one of those moves on. I always see Somerville as in that red zone vulnerable, even to the last day of the season. But we were speaking with Brownie this morning, and even if a club comes in 35, 40 million with 3 or 4 days to go, reject it, because we don't need to do it. If we've been told by Parag, and the murmurs are coming out of the club, that the Archie sale is sufficient enough when it comes to income, don't sell, whatever happens, because if you leave yourself with a week and a half to go, and you know, I mean, the season's in 3 weeks' time, you've got to really give yourself a period of grace when it comes to replacing such an unbelievable talent in Somerville, when it comes to goals, when it comes to assists, when it comes to our entire build-up play. You can't leave yourself like Leeds have left themselves before, and kind of like we did last window when it came to Sinisterra and Godu with Jayden Anthony. That wasn't a replacement Leeds wanted. It wasn't a deal that Leeds wanted to get done, but Sinisterra was pushing it so much and even involving the law that Leeds had to do it, but they didn't want to do that, and you don't want to get yourself in that scenario. So if Leeds have that ability right now and that assurance from the capital that's come in with Red Bull, we were told at the start that it's going to help with additions on the pitch, and you would presume that it's going to be sufficient enough to help us keep those players that we have on the pitch anyway, as well as add in. I think that would be sustenance, and it would be good enough for Leeds to be in a real promotion fight next season. But we have got to be careful. Junior Firpo, I think with sort of a year left on his deal, you'd be looking at 5-6 million quid. But when you look through the squad now, you've had the Rocker deal, you've had the Llorente deal, you've had the Cresswell deal, which probably amounts overall transfer-wise to around about 12 to 15 million quid. You have the Archie Gray deal, which is 35 plus road on, if you're to believe reports. You've had the other sort of wages that have been kicked off when it comes to the likes of Shackleton and others. Leeds should be in a really healthy position right now. And I like the fact, you know, we know Cooper's probably going to be going as well, which is more wages. I like the fact that we've been able to shred a lot of that fat. I do. But you also have to build up a little bit of continuity as well with the boys that did it last year. You know, you got to really keep all the Gruevs. Rodon's got to come in, which is big. You know, Strauch. Your fullbacks are really open right now, you know, in terms of if Firpo is to go, which I do see as another likelihood, but you've got more money there, which amounts to some of the fringe players going, you're probably looking at, you know, summarising around about 20-25 million quid, and then the Archie deal. I guess if a mad offer comes from Everton, we know they've got that 50 million quid from Aston Villa. 55 million quid was the report this morning, including add-ons for Onana. If they're able to use that, if they come to Leeds and say, look, we'll give you 30 million for Willian Yonto or 25 plus, you're struggling to say no for that, especially on the back of a poor season that Willie Gnonto's had. Dan James coming in, is he going to be able to replicate what he did last season? Maybe, maybe not. But Dan James at this level is a very, very good addition. I think the weakness is with Gnonto going is you've got a replacement there when it comes to something a little bit different on that right-hand side. And sometimes we know Dan can't work. But on the flip side, we know that Willie can't work and then Dan would come in. So I think that option of having two players on that right-hand side was always really good for Leeds in terms of availability in offensive spots, especially on that right-hand side. You know, that's two players for a really critical position. Having Jayden Bogle as another option on that right-hand side is more than enough sustenance. So overall, the squad's shaping up as a little bit thin right now. However, we do have players in each position as the squad stands right now. Willie Gnonto is almost amber zone. I think Firpo's definitely amber zone. I can see Firpo going. I think Leeds have got to do that deal with 12 months left, especially if they're not going to offer him a new long-term deal, which is what Junior will want, especially at this phase in his career. He'll want a 3-4 year deal, which is what Cooper's angling for at, you know, Blackburn and Sheffield United. These players want security, so he's going to want that at Leeds. But if Leeds are looking at Premier League projection, will Junior Firpo work in the Premier League? I'd say not. You know, and we've seen that before. The proof is in the pudding. Are there better left backs out there than Junior Firpo? Yes, 100%. But he's been consistent, and there has been continuity there with Junior Firpo, and he's offered us a lot on that left-hand side. He's been man of the match in multiple games for me recently, or, you know, recently when Leeds have been playing. So a lot to discuss here, everybody. A lot to compartmentalise, but we need another centre-back for me as well. But Leeds have just got to replace in a really good fashion here. And it looks like Kristensen as well. There's Frankfurt who are in for him. That's coming out from Fabrizio Romano. Kristensen must have the most unbelievable agent of all time. But like we were saying earlier on, him dipping down a level, you know, you would see better performances from Kristensen. I still wouldn't have him anywhere near it. You know, if you're offering me 12, 14 right backs in this division, I'd probably take them above Kristensen. I just think he's been lucky in his career and he's got an unbelievable agent, and I think he's slowly more getting found out by the Danish national setup, by Roma, with, you know, what obviously with what Mourinho was saying, and obviously with him being bunged out at Leeds United when Ayling was getting ahead of him at a ripe old age, when Kristensen had come in as the replacement for Ayling. So yeah, a lot to consider here, everybody, but Leeds have still got quite a bit to do. I'd say another midfielder, couple more, a right back and a left back. There's an argument you want another offensive player as well, and then we're going to have to go like for like on individuals who maybe leave in the next 3 weeks. But in 3 weeks, we're playing Portsmouth. It's coming up very quick. You want players in, you want players ready with the squad, having those sort of relationships, that synergy, that cohesiveness. Lots to consider here, everybody. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Bogle, Kristensen, loads of things to discuss here, and I will see you on the other side. Make sure you check out the video with Brownie. See you in a bit.